Hi, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. In this week's guitar lesson, you're going to learn how to play lead over a minor key blues that's played in C minor. And there's a lot of different influences in this. There's a little bit of Santana, there's some Cream era Eric Clapton, there's a little bit of David Gilmour thrown in. And so we're going to break it all down note for note. I'm going to show you how to play in the key of a song, and I'm also going to show you how to play the chord changes. So we're going to be doing both in this. And that's really the goal of this lesson, not just to memorize the notes, but to learn where they come from so that you can start to use them when you improvise and write your own music. So I've got this lesson split into two parts. In this video, we're going to take a look at the first half. If you'd like to watch the second half and download the tablature and the MP3 jam track so that you can practice putting all the licks into play, you can do that by going to ActiveMelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP256. Alright, so this song is in C minor, and it's in 6/8 time, which means you'd count it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I think of this as a 1, 4, 5 chord progression. Even though we're in a minor key, I would describe this as a minor 1 chord, so you have your C minor chord, a minor 4 chord, which is an F minor, minor 1, minor 4, and then a major 5 chord, which is a G chord. And those are your basic chords in this: C minor, F minor, and G. Now there's another part, which is a little walk down, which I'll explain in just a minute. But that's your kind of your basic structure. Now this song starts on a G sharp. So remember I said your 5 chord is a G. Well, this is a common scenario that happens in a lot of blues songs where you take your 5 chord and then you go up a half step. So you just sharp whatever your 5 chord is. So we're going to play the G sharp chord, and that's how we're starting this song. So a good example of this would be The Thrill Is Gone, where you take that 5 chord and you sharp it, and then you go to the 5 chord, and then you go to the 1, the minor 1. So that's that G sharp 7. We're going to play that 12 times. And then we go down to the G. This is just what the backing track is doing. And then we go to the 1. So that's what we're going to be playing over. Now, we're going to be playing the chord changes over these first couple of chords. And what that means, you have two options when you're playing lead. Or this is just to oversimplify it. But you can either stay in the key of the song, so that in this case it would be C minor. We just play the C minor pentatonic scale. And we can stay in that scale no matter what the chord changes are. That's one way to do it. The other way, which is a little more sophisticated, is to actually change the scale to match the chord you're on. So in this case, and that's what we're going to do here, we're going to start with this G sharp chord, and we're going to be in the G sharp minor pentatonic scale. Everything we're going to be playing is minor pentatonic. So think of, that's your minor pentatonic scale for G sharp. So we're going to start with this lick right here. So that's a double stop on the 4th fret, and we're going to bar the first 2 strings, and I'm just going to play it 3 times. And I kind of slid into it, kind of Chuck Berry style, I guess. And then I come up here to this. Now this is going to be going into pattern 2 of the minor pentatonic scale for G sharp, but I've got my middle finger on the 7th fret, 2nd string, my ring finger is on the 8th fret, 3rd string. And I played that 4 times. So this one's 3 times. And we came up here and played 1, 2, 3, 4. And I slid into it again. And then I played this kind of, reminds me of something from Cream. And that's going right into that minor pentatonic scale pattern 1. So from this 8th fret, 3rd string, we're going to slide down to the 6th fret, 3rd string. 4th fret, 3rd string, and then we're going to go back to the 6, back to the 4, and then we're going to go to the 6 and 4 on the 4th string. So we have 6, 4, 6, back to the 3rd string, 4th string, and then we resolve there on the 6th fret, 4th string. So let me play all of that slowly, that first part. We have... So try that. Remember, we're in 6/8 times. This is not 4/4. So you have 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So remember, we're playing the chord changes here. So we were just playing over a G sharp chord. Now the song goes to the 5 chord, which is the G chord. And what I'm going to play over that is is a series of triads. So I'm just going to play a G major chord. Think of your G bar chord playing the top 3 strings. So that's where you bar the first 2 strings here on the 3rd fret. Middle finger goes down on the 4th fret, 3rd string. And I started by sliding into that 4th fret, 3rd string with a downstroke and then 2 upstrokes. So that's your first, and these are little triplets. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to play a G7. So I'm going to slide that middle finger now up to the 7th fret, 3rd string. And then these 2 fingers come down, and that's making the D7 chord shape. Think of that chord shape that you'd make down in first position. If you make it up here, so that your middle finger and ring finger on the 7th fret, you're playing a G7 chord. So you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to slide that up 3 frets. So now my middle finger and my ring finger are on the 10th fret, and we're still making that same D7 chord shape. Now this chord is actually an F, I guess that'd be an F diminished 7. If you were to make the full chord, we're just making the triad out of that, which is a nice chord to play right before resolving to that 1 chord, that C minor chord. So that's what I'm playing over the G chord. I was giving it a little bit of vibrato as I was playing it as well. You don't have to do that, but that's just another technique. And then this song resolves to the 1 chord, which is that C minor, and then we're going to be playing out of the C minor scale, C natural minor scale. Before we do that, let me back up and play everything up to that point. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the C minor. So we have, that's the first lick we're going to learn. Now I want you to think about, for those of you that are minor pentatonic scalers, and we all are, think about box 1 or pattern 1 of the minor pentatonic scale for C. Now we're going to be switching. We're going to be staying in the C minor pentatonic scale or C minor scale for most of the rest of this. So think of pattern 1. Right, of your minor pentatonic scale. Now if we add 2 notes to that note, and then that note, you have now converted your minor pentatonic scale into the natural minor scale. And so I've covered that in other lessons, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but just remember that. So that's all the natural minor scale is, just 2 extra notes. Okay, so for that lick, we're going to start here on the 10th fret, 1st string. And we're going to do a half bend. You don't want to do a full bend. That's going to get you into the major world. But we're going to do a half bend and a release. And then down to the 8th fret, 1st string. 11th fret, 2nd string. And then back to the 8th fret, 1st string. So try that. Now once we hit that 8th fret, 1st string, we're going to bend the 11th fret, 2nd string, using a full bend to match that note. That's a very common blues technique, and you hear that used all the time in licks. And when you push it up there, try to give it some vibrato at the top. Now you don't have to, because we're not going to hold it for very long, but that's just, I think that's what I ended up doing. And then while I was at a full bend here on the 11th fret, 2nd string, I put my pinky down on the 11th fret, 1st string, and played that note. And then I did the release on the 11th fret, 2nd string. Came down to the 8th fret, 2nd string. And then we resolved or landed on that note, which is the 10th fret, 3rd string. So let me play that whole lick, and it'll make more sense when you hear it all in context. Now when I went to that note, that's where the song switches to the F minor. So we went from the C minor to the F minor. You can hear why that note works. Now you can see we're staying in that minor scale, or minor pentatonic scale, however you want to think of it. But even though that note is in that, it's also a note in that F minor chord. So that's why it works really nicely to resolve to that note. Now the next lick is this Albert King lick that goes. So let's learn that. Now this is all minor pentatonic from this whole little next run that we're going to do. It starts here on the 11th fret first string with a full bend, and then you release that bend and do a half bend after that. So you go. It's kind of a very Albert King thing to do. If you listen to his bending was always the best. He was like the master of that. But after that, I come down here to the 8th fret and bar the first 2 strings with my index finger and play string 1 and then 2. So, and then we come back to the 11th fret first string. We play that, and then we play the 8th fret first string right after that. So that's what that lick. That's the Albert King lick. And if you learn nothing else, I always like to say this, but that lick in itself is just an awesome takeaway. You can use that in any blues scenario. And that would work over a minor key or a major key. It's just awesome. Okay, now the last thing I played was a little run to get us down to the 5 chord. And that's just walking right down the minor pentatonic scale. We're starting here on the 8th fret first string, 11th fret second string, 8th fret second string, and then we do a full bend on the 10th fret third string. Play the 10th fret third string without the bend, 8th fret third string. So we have, and then we're just going to keep walking down. That's the 10th fret, 8th fret on the 4th string, and then that last note is on the 10th fret 5th string. So you just want to land that on the 5 chord. And by the way, when I played the 5 chord in the jam track, I didn't play a straight G. I played a G7 sharp 9. That's what that chord's called. Some people call that the Hendrix chord. You're just playing a G9. Think of a G9 chord, but you sharp the 9. That's all that chord is. It just gives it kind of a funky, jazzy kind of feel. All right, let me back up now from the beginning. That's really all the intro part to this, and play through all of that. So we have. Okay, now the song goes, that's your 5 chord. Now the song goes back to the 1 chord, and that's where it kind of starts. Think of that as the verse, the beginning of the verse. And the next thing that I played sounds like this. And that has kind of a Santana type feel to me, or even more like a Middle Eastern type thing. And that comes from this one note. That note is not in the natural minor scale. It's also not in the minor pentatonic scale, but it is in the harmonic minor scale. In the harmonic minor scale, it's the same as the natural minor scale, except for one note, and that's that note. That's a lot. I don't want to get into the harmonic minor scale and bog you down with that, but I want you to remember this note as the note right behind your root note. And that way you can use this going forward. If you like this, especially in a minor key lead, just find whatever your root note is. In this case, that's our C note, and just go down a half step. You can always work that into your lead, and it's going to give it that feel. And that goes for obviously all your C notes. So just remember it that way. So I started on that note, 7th fret first string, and then I came up here to use my pinky for that. It would be the 10th fret first string, and then resolved on the root note, which is the C note, 8th fret first string, and then the 8th fret second string. Now this note is obviously in the natural minor scale. So there's your minor pentatonic scale, there's that note. That's why if you're confused as to how that note fits in, it's just in the natural minor scale. So we have, then the next part goes, so that's the 10th fret third string, 8th fret third string, 7th fret third string, so we're just walking right down, back to the 10th fret, and then back to the 8th fret. So that's a great little lead part. It works really well over that C minor chord. And then the song goes to an F minor, and I played a lick that goes. let me show you how to play that. Now I'm still, in my head, I'm still in minor pentatonic scale, pattern 1. So I'm starting on the 11th fret, 1st string. I hit that twice, I think. And then I played the 10th fret 1st string, did a half bend to match the note I was just playing. That's a great technique. You can use that in country, blues, jazz. It works in everything. So I played that. And then I came down to the 8th fret 1st string and played this run that goes. That's what it sounds like slowly. Let me show you how to do that. It looks probably, or it sounds complicated when you first hear it, but when you find out it's just a series of pull-offs and hammer-ons, it's really not that hard. 8th fret 1st string, we're going to do a hammer-on to the 9th fret 1st string, and a pull-off, and then another hammer-on to the 11th fret 2nd string. So just try that. And then we go back to the 8th fret 1st string, 11th fret 2nd string, 8th fret 2nd string. Let me back it up. We have. So we're just picking that first part once, and then we go up, down, up, and then I played. That's a slide from the 11th fret 3rd string. This would be your blue note. Slide down to the 9th or to the 10th fret, sorry, on the 3rd string, and then down to the 8th fret on the 3rd string. So we have. And then I come back to the 10th fret 3rd string, and then resolve it on the 8th fret 3rd string. That's really the whole leg. All right, so let me back up and play everything up to that point. We'll start on that G sharp. Okay, now this is where the song goes into this walk down. It's a great little walk down that's used in lots and lots of songs. And all I'm doing is playing a C minor chord with this one note walking down. So you have the C, you have a B, you have a B flat, all the way down to an A. So it goes. And then it goes down one more step, so that'd be an A flat. And that's where you get into the turnaround, right? That's that note that's in that G sharp chord. And then you walk it down one more step, which would be down to the 5 chord. So that's all that is, just a walk down. So what I played over that, and I mentioned in the intro that there was some David Gilmour influence. It's really this chord arrangement. This is something I got from Shine On You Crazy Diamond. And that's where this walk down came from, and it's just stuck in my head through all the years. But this lead part, I heard this from David Gilmour, probably in that song. What I'm doing is I'm in the minor pentatonic scale, pattern 1 for C, and I'm barring the first 2 strings here on the 8th fret, and then I'm on the 3rd string, 10th fret. Now I'm playing strings 3 and 2 at the same time, so I'm doing a full bend with my ring finger on the 10th fret 3rd string while I'm hitting the 2nd string right here. So I'm going. That's what gives it that kind of almost sounds like a phased effect. So there's your bend and release. And then I came down and played the 8th fret 3rd string. And notice this note. This note falls, it sounds so good because all I'm doing is I'm following that walk down that I showed you. There's the next note, and that would be the B note. And so this middle finger comes down now on the 4th string, 9th fret. So you have. And then I went. So that's just minor pentatonic scale. And I'm going to walk up to the second, pattern 2. So pattern 1 is here, right? Pattern 2 is here. So I've got my ring finger sliding up to the 12th fret 3rd string. My middle finger goes down on the 11th fret 2nd string. And I gave that some vibrato, both those notes. And then I use my pinky to do a hammer-on up here on the 13th fret 2nd string. And then I come back to the 12th fret 3rd string and do a quick slide down to the 10th fret. And then down to the 8th fret 3rd string, back to the 10th, and then a bend on the 10th. And then bend and release. So let's do that whole walk down. We have... And that is really where I'm going to end this part 1 video. And then we get into the turnaround part again and we go through it again one more time. But that's a lot of information, and hopefully all of these little nuggets you start to take and put them in your file and start using them in other things. That's really what becoming a guitar player is all about. Let me go ahead and back up and play through this entire thing one more time. I'll do it slowly, and then that's going to end this part 1 video, and I'll see you in part 2 for the second half. And also, you'll have access to the tablature and the MP3 jam track. That's really where you learn this, is by playing along with that jam track, putting it in timing and everything. But anyway, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.